Greetings. This price earnings ratio. I'm live from the Bay Area. Now I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk about Palantir earnings. Palantir had earnings today after the bell, and we'll get to it. Let me share my screen. It's kind of black now, but I'm going to go to Palantir's earnings. Let's see here. Let's see. 1 second here. Man, come on now. You don't want to do right by me. So we're gonna read an earnings report. Here we go. That's it's part of if you want to be an investor, you don't have to do this. Also, you can. This is extra stuff. But if you want to I'm a serious investor, so I read these earnings report. I'm a serious investor. I trade options, but I'm a long term. I believe in Warren Buffett, doing it the Warren Buffett way. So I'm a long term investor, but I do trade sometimes. I say I trade on the side, but I believe long term is the best way to go. That's just my opinion. I've did the research. I've seen it. I've look at the people that's holding the pitchers, the 401ks, your annuities. They're not trading every day. They make it quite simple. Okay, they have a first of all they amass a large amount of money. They're dealing with billions of dollars. So if you have $1 billion and you make 5% on $1 billion, that's a lot of money. But see, us small investors, some of us, we don't have a lot of money. So if we're making 5% on $1,000, we don't look at that as a lot of money. But maybe you need to get with an investment group. I don't know how to start some, but you can probably YouTube it to see how to start an investment group, or you can put it in the chat here. I actually know a school where you can start an investment group. But this is stuff that I have to tell you. So I've heard of Peter Lynch and I heard of Warren Buffett, long-term investors. But what about the traders? How come I don't hear about where's the Warren Buffett of the traders? Where's the Peter Lynch of the traders? You don't hear about them. That's why I believe long-term investing is the best way. So we're gonna go over this. Palantir had his quarterly report, Q3 report, and this is stuff that us investors do. So you see here, Palantir reports Q3, that's third quarter 2025 U.S. Revenue growth, U.S. revenue growth of 121% year over year. Now that's a lot of money. The benchmark is 10% annually, but that's a lot of money. So this is gonna be a little bit boring, maybe, but try to watch as much as you can. And remember, I didn't start out like reading all of the earnings reports, like the whole page right away. I started out reading a paragraph here, a paragraph there, and then eventually it started to grow on you. But get familiar with some of it. Feel like an investor. If you're going to invest in these companies, you need to start reading these reports. You understand what I'm saying? So here we go. I'm going to go back in this here. So so this is reported today. Over here it says Palantir reports Q3 2025 U.S. revenue growth of 121% year over year and revenue growth of 63% year over year guidance. Q4 revenue to 61% year over year and U.S. revenue to 121% year over year. Raises fiscal year 2025 revenue guidance to 53%. Fiscal year. So that's annually. They raising the guidance to 53%, crushing consensus expectations. Remember, I told y'all there are two things that move the stock market: information and expectations. So if we go to look at Palantir stock right now, right? Yeah, since it had Q3 earnings, if we go look at his stock right now, we'll see that Palantir is probably up after when the market is closed. It's probably just slightly up or well, hold on, well, it's slightly down. So I don't know what happened there, but usually it is up after earnings if it beat earnings. So I don't know what happened there, but we're gonna go back to let's go back to look at their the news. So bear with me. If I can see that. So we're gonna skip over here. So I'm, I'm not gonna read all this. I'm gonna just read a lot of it, but just bear with me. But this is part of being an investor. So Denver Business Wire, Palantir Technologies Inc. We're right up here to the right. Is in the Nasdaq. PLRT is a ticker symbol. Today announced financial results for the third quarter and ended September 30, 2025. So that's when it ended. The the financial results for the third quarter. The third quarter ended September 30th, 2025, pretty much October 1st. They're just now reporting earnings. So 114%, our rule of 40 score. These results make undeniable the transformation, no impact of using AIP to compound AI leverage. Year over year, growth in our U.S. business surged to 77%, and year over year, growth in U.S. commercial climbed 121%. We are yet again announcing the highest sequential quarterly revenue growth guide in our company's history, representing 61% year-over-year growth, said Alex C. Karp, co-founder of and chief executive officer of Palantir Technologies. Here are the quarter Q3 2025 highlights. U.S. revenue grew 77% year over year and 20% quarter over quarter to 883 million. Damn, that's 883 million for the quarter. Imagine having some of that money. U.S. commercial revenue 121%. So this commercial customers grew 121% year over year and 29% quarter over quarter to 397 million. U.S. government revenue grew. So U.S. government is using this product. Also, it grew 52% year over year and 14% quarter over quarter to 486 million. Okay, can y'all see that? So here we go. Let's see here. It says 300. What did I leave off right here? To 486 million. Revenue grew 63% year over year and 18% quarter over quarter to 1.181 billion. Closed 204 deals of at least 1 million. 91 deals of at least 5 million. So 91 deals for 5 million and 53 deals of at least 10 million. Closed a record-setting 2.76 billion of total contract value, TCV, total contract value, up 151% year over year. Closed a record-setting 1.31 billion of U.S. commercial total TCV, that's total contract value, up to 342% year over year. U.S. commercial remaining deal value, RDV, of 3.63 billion, up 199% year over year and 30% quarter over quarter. Customer count grew 45% year over year and 7% quarter over quarter. GAAP income from operations of 393 million, representing a 33% margin. Adjusted income from operations of 601 million, representing a 51% margin. Rule of 40 score of 114%. This is Palantir earnings report. This is what you got to do. Yeah, it's boring, but this part of being an investor. You know, this is what the investors don't talk about. You have to do this. If you're going to be a long-term investor, you have to know what's going on. And remember, repetition is the mother of learning. And the more you keep reading these quarter and these earnings reports, quarterly, annually, the more you'll start to understand them. You probably won't get it right away. That's all right. It just takes time. Here we are down here where it says, my cursor is, it says rule of 40, score of 114%, GAAP, net income of 476 million, representing a 40% margin. That's a lot for this stock, and I might go get me some. This Palantir. Here we go, right by my cursor. Cash from operations of 508 million, representing a 43% margin. Adjusted free cash flow of 540 million, representing a 46% margin. GAAP earnings per share EPS of 0.18%. Adjusted EPS of 0.21 cents. I think that's a share. So come on, you're gonna keep going. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm not gonna bore y'all, but this is just some of the stuff that you need to know when you investing in companies. They have their earnings report. Remember, the link for my community is at the bottom. So I go over annual reports more in depth, and I also do live calls where people go ask me questions about the annual report or whatever they want to ask me about while in the community. So here we go. This is a snapshot of it. So you got revenue year over year growth, 1,181,000. What's that? 1,181,092. That's revenue. So year over year growth, 63%. Income from operations, 393,256. Adjusted income from operations, 600,540. So you can read this by yourself. And this is some good stuff. This is Palantir Earnings Report. We're going to go down a little bit, and we're going to start wrapping this up. Now, here's the guidance. This is very important also. Outlook. For Q4 2025, we expect revenue of between 1.327 to 1.3331. This 1,331,000,000. So I'm gonna say that. Adjusted income from operations of between 695 to 699 million. This is what they're expecting. This is guidance. Remember, I told you there's two things that move the stock market: information and expectations. Now we're talking about this is guidance for the earnings report. They're talking about what they're expected to make. Why is this important? Because big investors want to know, like, what are you expected to do before I invest in your company? What can I expect? Yeah, we got the information from the earnings report. That was the first thing we read. Now we're looking at what can we expect. That's why there's two things that move the market, make the stock go up or make it go down: expectations and information. So here we go. So I already read that. For a full year 2025, we are raising our revenue guidance to between 4.396 to 4.4 billion. We are raising our U.S. commercial revenue guidance to in excess of 1.433 billion, representing a growth rate of at least 104%. We are raising our adjusted income from operations guidance to between 2.151 to 2.155 billion. We are raising our adjusted free cash flow guidance to between 1.9 to 2.1 billion, and we continue to expect GAAP operating income and net income in each quarter of this year. Okay, the CEO letter. Okay. Let's go a little bit further. So, for statements, we're gonna skip a lot of this stuff. Y'all can take a snapshot of that. Snapshot of this. The press release and statements on our earnings webcast contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of the safe harbor provisions of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995, including but not limited to statements regarding our financial outlook, product development and related timing, distribution, and pricing, expected benefits and applications for our software platforms, business strategies and plans, including strategy and plans related to our artificial intelligence program, AIP. So whenever you see this acronym again, you know what that means. Sales and marketing efforts, sales force, partnerships and customers, investment in our business, market trends and market size opportunities, including growth opportunities, our expectations regarding our existing and potential investments and commercial contracts with various entities, our expectations regarding macroeconomic events, our expectations regarding our share repurchase program and positioning. So that's a little bit for that. They have to report earnings. So the security exchange, which is like the FBI of the stock market, or anything, any equities, commodities, cryptocurrency, you have to be transparent about the money you're making. That's why they have these earnings reports. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you out the rest of that, but that's just a snapshot of how we do our earnings reports. Here is a snapshot of this right here. It says they're comparing 3 months ended September 2025 to 2024. So as you can see that the revenue in 2024 was of this quarter, September, whatever, was 725. That should be 725 million. Those are in, these are in thousands, so they're supposed to be 725,516,000, and this is supposed to be 1.81 billion. Okay, so you all can snapshot that. I won't bore you with that, but any company you invested in, you have to see the revenue growing. Or the revenue is just like sales. If the revenue is not growing, then why would you invest in a company? If somebody outside or one of your friends came to you and said, "Hey, I got a business that I want you to buy for $50,000. It makes $10,000 a year." Okay, so you'd be like, "Okay, if I buy that business for $50,000, I'll get my money back after 5 years and then some." So that'll make sense. And also, the PE ratio would be 50,000 divided by 5. I mean, divided by 10, which is 5. So that be the PE ratio would be 5. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So here we go. Operating expenses, general and administrative. So that's how you read that's how you read a quarterly report, earnings report. Again, this is PE ratio. A lot of people are not doing this, but I did this. I took some time out of my day just to do this for my audience. And I hope y'all enjoyed this. Any questions? Just put it down in the chat. And also give me a like and subscribe to my channel and share to your friends and family. And this concludes the Palantir report, quarterly reports. Until next time, this is PE ratio. Like and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you want to join my community, hit the link below and come see me in there. I got exclusive videos in there apart from this. And I'm teaching the stock market. So that's just what I'm doing in there. So peace.